What's up, everybody? I'm so excited for this video, and I hope you are too, but first, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button to join the party. And if you're already part of the crew, show some love with a like. Let's get started.
Hey race fans, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time it's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Buckle up.
And this final race weekend was a roller coaster. Let me tell you, emotions, strategy, and maybe a little bit of chaos.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a touch. We've got a ton of data to go through, driver interviews, expert analysis to unpack all the most exciting moments from this epic showdown under the Yas Marina lights.
What was really captivating about this Grand Prix is that we had everything on the line. Both the drivers' and constructors' championships were still up for grabs.
Yeah.
Which honestly made every battle on the track, every pit stop, every single lap electric.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of electric, McLaren's performance in FP2 was a real shock to the system. I mean, Lando Norris topping the timesheets.
Wow.
Oscar Piastri right behind him in P2. Did anyone see that coming?
I don't think so.
It was like they flipped a switch and boom,
Yeah.
they were the team to beat.
It definitely raised some eyebrows in the paddock.
Yeah.
Especially considering McLaren's position in the Constructors' Championship. They were neck and neck with Ferrari going into this race.
Right.
And that 1-2 finish in FP2 was a bold statement.
For sure.
Of course, practice times don't always translate to race results, but it definitely hinted at their potential.
Right. Practice is one thing. But then there's Charles Leclerc. The guy was lightning fast in FP1, but with that 10-place grid penalty hanging over his head. It was like a cloud following him around the whole track.
Yeah, the grid penalty saga. For those who might not know, grid penalties are handed out for various reasons, often due to exceeding the allowed number of engine components or gearbox changes throughout the season. In Leclerc's case, it meant he would have to start the race 10 places lower than where he qualified, making his fight for the championship even tougher.
Talk about an uphill battle. And to add another twist, we have Nico Hulkenberg, who swoops in and grabs P3 for Haas in FP2.
Right.
Was that a stroke of luck, or did Haas find some hidden speed just when it mattered most?
Well, Hulkenberg's performance was definitely a head-turner. He's a skilled driver, no doubt.
Yeah.
But Haas had been struggling for consistency all season. To see them up there challenging the frontrunners like that was unexpected, to say the least. It makes you wonder if they could play spoiler in the championship fight.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking surprises, we can't ignore the Red Bull camp.
Yeah.
Verstappen and Perez were uncharacteristically quiet in FP2, stuck in the midfield.
Oh.
With some gremlins in the machinery. Verstappen even complained about front axle issues over the radio. Did they just have an off day, or was there something more serious going on?
Red Bull's lack of pace was certainly noticeable, and those front axle issues Verstappen mentioned could definitely explain their struggles.
Yeah.
Even the most dominant teams can encounter technical difficulties.
Of course.
And in a tight championship battle like this one, even a small problem can have big consequences.
Absolutely. And on top of all of that, as if the championship contenders weren't enough to keep us on our toes, we had a handful of rookie drivers making their debut in FP1.
Oh.
These young guns were eager to prove themselves, and let me tell you, they brought a fresh energy to the track.
Absolutely. Seeing those rookies out there is a reminder that Formula One is a sport that's constantly evolving. You have these veterans at the peak of their abilities, and then this new generation coming in hungry to make their mark. It's a fascinating dynamic, and it always adds another layer of unpredictability to a race weekend.
And speaking of unpredictable, let's talk about some of the driver drama that unfolded off the track.
Yeah.
Alain Prost publicly criticized his Aston Martin, calling it a disaster and blaming it for his struggles throughout the season.
Ouch. Prost has never been one to mince words.
No, he has not.
But his comments really highlight the immense pressure drivers face to perform. When you're constantly battling a difficult car, it can take a toll on your confidence and your results.
On a brighter note, we had a historic moment with the Thier brothers, both driving for Ferrari in FP1. Seeing two siblings sharing the track in the same iconic red cars.
Amazing.
That's the stuff of dreams.
It was a special moment for sure, and a testament to the passion and dedication that often runs in racing families.
And we can't forget about Lewis Hamilton. He may be in the twilight of his career, but he showed his class with a strong P3 finish in FP1.
Impressive.
The King of Abu Dhabi certainly knows how to make an exit.
Hamilton's track record at Yas Marina is undeniable. He's won here multiple times and always seems to find another gear on this circuit. This being his final race with Mercedes added even more weight to his performance.
It's fascinating how the practice sessions can be so deceptive. We saw glimpses of brilliance from some unexpected quarters,
Yeah.
while others seem to be hiding their true potential. It's like a game of poker.
Right.
Everyone trying to outsmart the others while keeping their cards close to their chest.
It's true. The practice times only tell part of the story.
Right.
You have to factor in fuel loads, tire strategies, and of course those pesky grid penalties.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the whole psychological aspect too.
Right.
The mind games
Yeah.
that teams and drivers play to gain an edge. Exactly. Take Leclerc, for instance. Knowing he had that 10-place grid penalty looming over him must have been incredibly frustrating.
I can't imagine.
Especially after topping the timesheets in FP1. It puts you in a completely different mindset heading into the race,
Yeah.
Do you go all out in qualifying, knowing you'll drop down the order?
Right.
Or do you focus on race setup and hope to make up places with a clever strategy?
It's a real dilemma, isn't it? Trying to balance your immediate goals with the long-term championship fight. And speaking of long-term, let's revisit McLaren's performance in FP2.
Okay.
That 1-2 finish was a serious statement of intent.
It was.
But could they maintain that pace throughout the weekend?
Good question.
Was it genuine speed, or were they sandbagging?
Oh, interesting.
Deliberately hiding their true performance to catch their rivals off guard.
Sandbagging is a common tactic in motorsport. Where teams deliberately run slower lap times to avoid revealing their true potential. It's a risky strategy, though, as it can backfire if you underestimate your opponents.
Right. You don't want to be too clever for your own good. But let's not forget about Nico Hulkenberg and Haas. That P3 finish in FP2 was a real shocker.
Yeah.
For a team that's been bouncing around the midfield all season to suddenly challenge the front runners like that.
Right.
It's almost like they stumbled upon a secret formula overnight.
Haas has always had these flashes of brilliance.
They have.
But consistency has been their Achilles heel.
Yeah, for sure.
Could this be a sign that they've finally unlocked the potential of their car? Or was it just a one-off performance?
Right.
A lucky break on a track that suited their strengths?
Only time would tell, but it definitely added another layer of intrigue to the race.
Hey, sure.
And then, of course, there's Red Bull.
Right.
The reigning champions seemed uncharacteristically off the pace. Struggling with those front axle issues Verstappen mentioned.
Yeah.
Was it just a minor setback? Or was it a sign of deeper problems that could derail their championship hopes?
Well, Red Bull has been the dominant force in Formula One for the past few seasons.
They have.
But, even the best teams can have bad weekends.
Of course.
Those front axle problems could be easily fixed, or they could be the tip of the iceberg, a symptom of a larger technical issue that's plaguing the car.
Yeah, and let's not forget the rookies.
The rookies.
They might not have been fighting for podiums.
Right.
But their presence added an element of unpredictability to the race.
Definitely.
These young drivers, they're fearless. They're eager to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some unexpected maneuvers on track.
Absolutely. Rookies are often less risk-averse than seasoned veterans.
Right.
They're not burdened by championship pressure or team orders, so they're more likely to take chances and shake things up. And in a race as tight as this one, even a small incident involving a rookie could have major ramifications.
Absolutely. Speaking of shaking things up, we can't ignore the off-track drama.
No, we cannot.
Alain Prost's public criticism of his Aston Martin was certainly a bombshell.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't hold back, did he?
He did not.
Calling it a disaster and practically blaming the car for his entire season's worth of woes.
Prost's comments highlight the intense pressure and scrutiny that Formula One drivers face.
I imagine.
They're expected to perform at the highest level week in and week out.
Yeah.
And when the car isn't up to the task, it can be incredibly frustrating.
For sure.
And sometimes that frustration boils over, leading to some very public displays of discontent.
It's a reminder that behind the glitz and glamour of Formula One, there's a very human element at play. These drivers are fiercely competitive.
Yeah.
They pour their hearts and souls into their craft.
Right.
And when things don't go their way, it can be emotionally draining.
It can. And then, in stark contrast to Prost's outburst, we had the heartwarming moment of the Thayer brothers sharing the track for Ferrari in FP1.
Yeah.
Two siblings united by their passion for racing, living out a childhood dream. It was a reminder that amidst the intense competition and pressure, there's still room for camaraderie and family bonds.
It's moments like those that make Formula One so special. It's a sport that's full of contradictions, high-tech machinery, global rivalries.
Right.
And yet, at its core, it's about human ambition, passion, and the pursuit of excellence.
I like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of excellence, we can't overlook Lewis Hamilton's performance in FP1.
We can't.
Despite this being his final race with Mercedes, he showed no signs of slowing down, securing a solid P3 finish.
Yeah.
He might not have been in contention for the championship, but he was clearly determined to end his time with the Silver Arrows on a high note.
Yeah, Hamilton's track record at Yas Marina is legendary.
It is.
He's won here multiple times. He seems to thrive under the lights.
Right.
And the fans adore him.
They do.
It's safe to say that no matter where he ends up next season, his presence will be sorely missed.
I think so.
By the Mercedes team and the Formula One community as a whole.
Absolutely. Hamilton is a true icon of the sport, a multiple world champion, and a role model for aspiring drivers around the world. His legacy extends far beyond the track, and his impact on Formula One will be felt for years to come.
But before we get too sentimental, let's not forget that we still have qualifying and the race ahead of us.
Okay.
And based on what we've seen so far, this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is shaping up to be an absolute thriller.
The stage is set, the tension is palpable, and the stakes are incredibly high. We have championship battles, grid penalties, rookie drivers eager to make their mark, and a healthy dose of driver drama.
Wow.
It's the perfect recipe for a nail-biting finale to the Formula One season.
So let's dive into the qualifying results and see how the grid is shaping up for this epic showdown under the Yas Marina lights. Who's going to be on pole position?
Right.
Who's going to have to fight their way through the field?
No question.
And most importantly, who is going to emerge victorious and claim those coveted championship titles? Okay, so after a qualifying session that had more twists and turns than the Yas Marina circuit itself, we're finally ready to dive into the main event, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The grid is set, the drivers are strapped in, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife.
It's crazy how a single qualifying session can completely shift the narrative.
I know, right?
We had some surprising results, some strategic masterstrokes, and of course, a few heartbreaks along the way.
For sure. And let's not forget the drama that unfolded even before the cars hit the track.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Alain Prost's fiery comments about his Aston Martin?
Yeah.
Well, it seems his words might have lit a fire under the team.
Really?
Because they managed to pull off a brilliant qualifying performance, putting Prost in a much better position than anyone expected.
Interesting. It's a testament to the power of communication, even when it's heated.
Right.
Sometimes a bit of tough love is all it takes to shake things up and motivate a team to push harder.
Well, Prost might have been singing a different tune after qualifying.
I bet.
But there were plenty of other drivers who were left scratching their heads, wondering where it all went wrong.
It's the nature of Formula One.
It is.
The margins are so fine, the competition is so intense, that even the smallest mistake can have a huge impact on your result.
Totally.
And when you factor in the pressure of a championship decider, the stakes get even higher.
Absolutely. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the race itself, let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer spectacle of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit, under the lights, the roar of the engines, the passionate fans.
It's beautiful.
It's sensory overload in the best way possible.
It's truly one of the most iconic events on the Formula One calendar.
It is.
And this year, with both championships hanging in the balance, the atmosphere was electric.
Oh, yeah.
You could feel the anticipation in the air, the sense that we were about to witness something truly special.
Okay, so let's talk about the race itself. We had some incredible battles throughout the field, some daring overtakes, and a few strategic gambles that paid off in spades. But let's cut to the chase. And focus on the top 5 finishers. The drivers who truly made their mark on this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Sounds good. Starting at the top, we had Lando Norris taking the checkered flag for McLaren.
Wow.
Securing his first ever Formula One victory. It was a dominant performance from start to finish, a testament to his raw talent and the team's incredible strategy.
Norris was absolutely flying out there.
He was.
He controlled the pace, he defended brilliantly when he needed to, and he never looked flustered, even under immense pressure from his rivals.
It was a coming-of-age performance for Norris. He's always had the potential.
It has.
But this win shows that he's ready to take on the best in the world and come out on top.
Coming in second, we had Lewis Hamilton in his final race for Mercedes, a fitting end to an incredible chapter in his career. Even if it wasn't the fairy tale victory he might have hoped for,
Hamilton drove a brilliant race, showcasing his experience and racecraft.
Yeah.
He might not have had the outright pace to challenge Norris, but he fought tooth and nail for every position.
He did.
And ultimately secured a well-deserved podium finish.
Third place went to Charles Leclerc, who drove an absolutely stunning race after starting from 11th on the grid.
Wow.
Due to that pesky grid penalty.
Yeah.
To carve his way through the field like that.
Amazing.
It was a masterclass in overtaking and race strategy.
Leclerc's performance was nothing short of heroic. He had to overcome a significant disadvantage.
For sure.
But he never gave up. He kept pushing.
Yeah.
And he ultimately proved that he's a force to be reckoned with no matter where he starts on the grid.
Fourth place went to Sergio Perez, who delivered a solid performance for Red Bull, salvaging some valuable points for the team despite their struggles throughout the weekend.
Perez played the role of the reliable teammate perfectly. He stayed out of trouble, he kept his car in one piece, and he brought home a decent haul of points, which could prove crucial in the final championship standings.
And rounding out the top 5, we had Fernando Alonso, who pulled off a brilliant drive for Aston Martin, proving that even in the twilight of his career, he still got what it takes to compete at the highest level.
Alonso is a true legend of the sport, a 2-time world champion.
He is.
And he showed his class and experience in this race. He battled hard, he made some clever strategic calls, and he ultimately earned a well-deserved top 5 finish.
So there you have it, the top 5 finishers in what can only be described as an unforgettable Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
What a race.
But the real drama unfolded further down the order with championship dreams hanging in the balance until the very last lap.
Oh yeah, the championship battles went down to the wire, with twists and turns that kept us on the edge of our seats until the checkered flag fell. We'll save those details for another time,
Right.
because this deep dive has reached its limit,
Okay.
and it's time for us to bid you farewell.
It's been a wild ride, folks, and we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
We've covered a lot.
We've covered everything from practice session surprises to driver drama, from strategic masterstrokes to championship showdowns.
We've explored the technical intricacies, the human emotions, and the sheer spectacle that makes Formula One one of the most captivating sports in the world.
So until next time, keep your engines revving, your helmet strapped on, and your passion for motorsport burning bright.
And remember, in Formula One, the only certainty is uncertainty. So buckle up, enjoy the ride, and let the drama unfold.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting this channel by hitting the subscribe and like buttons. This will help the channel grow and expand on the journey we have begun together here at AI Meets You.